Hello everybody. My films this week were mainly Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, directed by Scorsese, before Taxi Driver, right after Main Street. Ellen Burstyn, who stars in this, picked him to be director. About a mother and son who are the father's an abusive father, and he unexpectedly dies in an accident, and they go on a road trip into Arizona. She wants to be a singer. The relationship and the acting between Ellen Burstyn and the boy is amazing, really funny. The opening shot's based on The Wizard of Oz, which the studio wanted him to cut, but he didn't, thank God. Second one out of the box set is After Hours, which isn't available on Blu-ray or DVD in the UK or pretty much the US anymore. It's a cocaine-fueled nocturnal nightmare. If you've got anxiety, don't watch it. But the great Michael Powell came up with the end when Scorsese was championing him in the 80s and brought him over to America, and him and Coppola were kind of like, Scorsese's editor, Thelma Shoemaker, was married to Michael Powell. But yeah, Scorsese walked past him one day and he says, "I don't know how it ended." He went, "Well, he ends up back at the office." And that's how it ended up. Talking about Michael Powell, I got this box set from the garage as well. Garage. But two great films I watched from this, which aren't released even on DVD or Blu-ray, or I Know Where I'm Going and They're the Weed Mob. So neither are released on DVD or Blu-ray. In fact, I think out of this box set of 9 films, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, if you're lucky, released on Blu-ray, and not many of them on DVD. The other one, I Know Where I'm Going, is just such a lovely film. Shout out to Roy from Roy Rates Anything, because I know he watched it, but it's a fantastic film. Paul and Pressburger. Django Kill, probably one of the most violent spaghetti westerns, and not a Django film. Out of the 34, there's only 2, as I've said, that are official Django films. This is just a spaghetti western renamed Django with the great Thomas Millian, who should have a documentary made about him. He was born in Cuba, went God knows where, ended up in Italy and became one of Italy's biggest stars, so he should have a documentary made about him. But yeah, Django Kill, a horror spaghetti western, I would say. Just a Gigolo, starring Bowie. It wasn't Bowie's first film, as many sites say. It was Bowie's second film. He'd made Man Who Fell to Earth way before this was released. It was made in the year after, but released 3 years later, because some of the footage, according to who you talk to or who you read, some was lost in the fire. Directed by the great David Simmons, by the way. Or watch anything. Some was lost in the fire, some of the footage, or some was just like thrown away by the producer. Marlene Dietrich's final film about Weimar, Germany. They filmed all her scenes in Paris because she wouldn't go back to Germany because of obvious reasons. Watch along on Criminoli's Discord channel was this, my pick as well. It's the classic Plague of the Zombies, Hammer's Plague of the Zombies, filmed on the same sets back to back with The Reptile, but released on a double bill with Dracula Prince of Darkness, which is not bad. It's one of Hammer's best Dracula sequels. But this film's scared the holy Jesus out of me when I was a kid. You'll know the same when you see it. The Annihilators. My friend lent me this. I wrote Blu-ray. It's one of those suburban 80s kind of revenge films where, you know, like, not a suburban, a small town's a small part of the city is under threat by gangs and stuff. I mean, the king of these kind of movies is Death Wish 3. This is like the A-Team, but to show people and actually kill people. But yeah, Charlie Bronson does it better in Death Wish 3. Talking to Charlie Bronson, I rewatched this disc. It's an old Region 1 disc. Warner Brothers Telefon, which is a pretty good spy novel, apparently. But the film isn't, even though it's directed by Don Siegel. Charles Bronson, yeah. I mean, the two British actors, Alan Bardell and Patrick McGee, are the best part about it. The second one on this disc is, it's a flipper. Can you remember flippers? Where you flip the disc over? It's St. Ives. Fun crime caper. But nothing special. But it's notable because it was the first Bronson film directed by J. Lee Thompson, and him and Bronson went on to make 9 films together in total. Il Boss, directed by the fantastic Fernando de Leo, probably the best of the Poliziotteschi directors, I would say. I've had this DVD from Raro Video for 16 years, but I've never watched it. It's a double bill with Killer vs. Killers. But Il Boss was one of it's the last in his Milieu trilogy, which is Milano Calibro 9, Manhunt, and Il Boss, and it's Frank Silva, Fernando Franco. But yeah, absolutely manic, violent opening, but it's not the best of the 3. I would say, well, it's tough between Manhunt and Milano Calibre 9, which is the best, but as a third one, it's alright. The Merchant of Four Seasons and Beware of a Holy Whore by Ryan and Werner Fassbinder. New wave German cinema. Merchant of Four Seasons is the better of the 2, because if you haven't seen a film called Witty by Fassbinder, Beware of a Holy Horse, pretty much about the making of it, with characters playing themselves or Fassbinder's cast characters themselves. Great Leonard Cohen though on the soundtrack. Merchant of Four Seasons is pretty great. It's a man defeated, a man just who loses at life and loses the love of his life, loses his job, loses his income. It's really good. And then continuing on the new wave of German cinema film kind of thing, I rewatched Wings of Desire, which is Wim Wenders. Just beautiful, and I totally fell in love with Solveig Dalmatin when she plays who Bruno Ganz falls in love with. That's why he gives up being an angel. But haunting cinematography. Peter Falk's an angel, obviously. But the first half's like, angels listen to people talk about their lives. The second half kinds of an angel falling in love and falling from heaven. It's good, great. It's a classic. It's 5 out of 5. And then continuing on the Vim Vendors kind of thing, I've had this for a couple of years, but it's a film I loved as a teenager because I loved Nick Cave, I loved U2, I loved many of the people on the soundtrack. And then I went and rented out the VHS of the cut that was absolutely compromised by the studios. But this is the Criterion US cut of Until the End of the World by Vim Vendors. And you can say it's kind of like, it's not cyberpunk, but it's predicted many of the things, and the soundtrack's great. It was shot on at least 5 continents or 4 continents. And this is the near 5.5 hour cut. And I watched it in 2 halves, because, well, in one day in 2 halves, because it's 2 discs and a big fat booklet. But it's a beautiful film, and the end with Max von Sydow and Solveig Martin again is just, it's beautiful. And at the end of the day, it's a love story. But anyway, that's been my week in film again. Thank you very much for watching. See you again next week.